Just one more hour until reinforcements, aka me, arrive to save the day. But until then, keep your eyes on the highway and keep on trucking with Jimmy Mack on Road Gang Radio, y'all.
Hey guys, really quickly, this is the Fastport Focus that we have every single Friday, the Friday Fastport Focus. Fastport, by the way, is solving America's toughest recruiting and workforce challenges. They do it through research, technology, and people, especially Mr. Roll Tide himself, BB the King, Brad Bentley, and of course his trusted companions in recruiting and onboarding and Veterans Affairs, Dave Harrison and Gina Harrison. From registered apprenticeships to veteran readiness, learn more at fastport.com or nationalapprenticeship.org. We're big fans, by the way, of Sierra Delta here and the impact that it's had on making people whole when they come home. We have a very special guest here this morning, and we are thrilled to actually introduce him as Pastor Lee Otto. He is a distinguished retired U.S. Army veteran whose life reflects an unwavering commitment to service, both to his country and as he has transitioned out of the military to his community as well. We're going to unpack a lot of who he is and what he does, but we want to start off by saying, hey, man, good morning. How's your Friday?
Hey, good morning. It's going well. I'm calling from Wisconsin, so getting lots of sunshine and beautiful colors out there. So thanks for having me. It's great to be on today.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of places in the country are kind of descending in what I call a leaf peeper. The world of the leaf peepers is really kind of coming out. A lot of colors happen out there. We were talking to somebody actually calling from 65 in Tennessee, and what he was seeing was gorgeous as well. So I can imagine you guys are seeing a really beautiful world that you can reflect on and kind of engage. I'm going to ask you an acronym, and then you're going to tell me what it's all about, and then you can talk in any direction you want to. But let's just call it EPIC. Let's just begin with the word epic, and it actually stands for 4 words, and it kind of tells your story, and it kind of tells Sierra Delta's story. Can you do that for me?
Sure. EPIC stands for Empowerment, Purpose, Innovation, and Community. So, it comes from the nonprofit organization I currently work with called Sierra Delta. And Sierra Delta stands for Service and Dogs. Sierra Delta is very near and dear to my heart. It's a veteran nonprofit organization that actually really has impacted my life. I had medically retired out of the military in 2009 and was kind of lost, like a lot of veterans. When they get out of the military, there's a big portion of their life has been kind of taken away from them. Their battle teams and their support channels and all these things. And I had spent a lot of time with the 1st Infantry Division with the Army and as an infantry soldier and deployed over to Iraq. And upon getting out, I had planned on making the military a career, but the United States Army said something different, and I had been shot and wounded on multiple separate occasions, and upon leaving the military, kind of left a big hole. I was very frustrated. I was angry. I carried a chip on my shoulder. I was dealing with a lot of things like PTSD and traumatic brain injury, and trying to understand how to continue my life. And right before being introduced to Sierra Delta, I was on my 28th mental health provider through the VA, and only 2 of them I fired. The other ones you get, I call it the vicious cycle in the VA system. So you get in there, you start hashing through and trying to figure out what all these things that you had experienced in the military, and you get very far in therapy, and then the therapist goes, I got to leave, or I'm going into private practice, or whatever it may be. And on my very last mental health provider, I got very far, and here again, she told me, Lee, I am having to go. And I was deeply devastated. I'm like, here we go again. All this hard work right down the drain to start all over again. She's like, before you get upset, just hold up. You have gotten very far in your hard work. And she said, you have accomplished so much, but she's like, don't give up. But she said, you would benefit from a service animal. And I said, well, that sounds great. Funded. It sounds really expensive. So she hands me a sheet of paper and it has a long list of different organizations. And she's like, none of these have really been vetted, but these are ones that have, kind of gone through the system. So why don't you check some of these out? Sierra Delta was not one of them on that list. So I worked probably for it would have been for like 9 months, looking at these organizations, of which I had a lot of dead ends, long wait times, and just an extremely frustrating. So at the end of that time, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do this on my own. I don't know how I'm going to fund it. I don't know, where to start. So I contacted a training facility. It's called Blackjack Canine, and the lady's name is Ashley O'Brien. And she said, before you go down this expensive road, I want to introduce you to Sierra Delta. And Sierra Delta was just getting going. So within probably 24 hours of speaking with B.J. Ganem, who is the founder, he's been on the talk show before as well.
Friend of the show. I've had many a dinner.
Yeah.
Many a dinner with him. Absolutely. Great guy.
Yeah. So within 24 hours of talking to him and his great battle buddy, Mick Gillitzer, I was approved into the program. And didn't know really exactly what that was going to look like, but I had an approval. Within spending about an hour speaking with BJ and Mick, we instantly had a connection because of our time in service. I had served with the 1st Marine Division over in Fallujah, and so we had this instant connection because during that time they were there as well and doing some of the same things we were doing. So we had this instant bond, and I already felt like I had a new battle buddy team that was going to look out for my best interests. So probably within 2 to 3 weeks of that conversation, I started into the program and started working with my service dog, Sage, of which he's still with me now after all these years. But what the most important part of this was the impact of the community of which Sierra Delta has created. I felt like this was my new team, and I had Sage, and the portion that really impacted me the most is I had a new mission again. Each day or each week, I was going at least 2 or 3 times to start training with my dog, and I wasn't allowed to bring him home yet. I had to complete this training. So I had a new purpose, I had a new mission, and then I had a community of brothers and sisters that would support me through this process.
Guys, listen up. Sierra Delta, by the way, who we've had on this show before, is a public charity recognized as a tax-exempt one by the IRS under Section 501c3. If you guys want to find more about what their mission is, you can do that at sierradelta.com. And I also, by the way, I was hoping you would unpack it, but I'll do it for you, and I get why you won't. Our friend here today actually has a collection of military honors, including the Bronze Star, 3 Purple Hearts, the Army Commendation Medal, the Presidential Unit Citation, and the Combat Infantryman's Badge, Expert Infantryman's Badge, Gold Recruiting Badge, among many other things, and actually speak to his resolve in the face of adversity, which, by the way, going through 28 different providers to get yourself mentally right, let me tell you something. You know this better than anybody else. That shows the strength of your character, because a lot of people, it is an act of courage to often seek help and the ability to talk to somebody else about what's going on. To continue to search for it and to push forward is something that a lot of people don't have the ability to do. A lot of people fall into despair and give up and just simply walk away. Let me ask you a question about the dog as well, too, because once you get the dog, once you kind of understand that the dog is going to be with you, can you tell me what the immediate impacts are? And now, having had time with the dog, what the long-term impacts have been for you, having a trusted companion to complement the community that you have joined?
Sure. So one of the things that I want to try to talk a little bit about, because this is one of the things that we see a lot of, is, and it was my same attitude when I came in. I thought that if I got a service dog, my anxiety would go away, or I would be instantly better, or but it changed. My dog was trained to, I was really struggling when I first came into the program. I was really struggling with nightmares, flashbacks, the stuff all around PTSD. Excuse me. And one of the things that happened is Sage was trained to lick my face to wake me up. He would lay on my legs when they were flailing around. But when I received Sage, it gave me this sense of I had a responsibility to take care of him, and he was going to take care of me. I also learned as I became more like my dog, I became a better human being. He helped me rethink things, helped me out into the public. The biggest one for me is I had a companion again. And it was just me at the time. My wife had passed away in 2013, so I was struggling with all these things. And so the impact that Sage had brought into my life was now I had a companion who was there for me every step of the way. He would help me shift my focus as we started to transition back out into the community, into the public. I was able to shift my focus rather than the anxiety about being out in the public. My anxiety shifted to make sure my dog was okay. People would still approach, hey, can I pet your dog? And in the beginning, I was very standoffish. I didn't want people to approach me. But then I had to start shifting my focus because I wanted to pay it forward. I felt like I had received such a blessing from Sierra Delta and through Sierra Delta that I wanted to, at minimum, my goal was to pay back and raise funds for Sierra Delta to reimburse basically what Sage cost the organization and to help bring awareness to other veterans. And the more I did it, the more I loved it, the more I wanted to continue to give back to other veterans who were in the same spot I was. That was probably the most important part. And it gave me now a new mission, a new purpose that we talk about as we just talked about in the epic. And it gives you that empowerment and of giving back to others and something above yourself.
Yeah, and the way I kind of see it, and by the way, this is something that you can school me on, is, the empowerment is what actually motivates you to find your purpose. Having been empowered, you find your purpose, and now that you've been given purpose, in order to achieve that purpose, you can then engage in innovation, and you only do it through the help of a community. That's kind of the way
Correct.
It functions together, correct? I mean, it's not just a clever acronym with what I call up with people sort of words attached to it. You're not going to find this in an Airbnb wall on the wall. This is something that is real. There's a real connective tissue between these four terms. And by the way, the other thing is that the community has a practical aspect as well. We're joined by Pastor Lee Otto, by the way, this morning here on the Fastport Focus on Friday. What I'm asking is that the community doesn't just serve as a function of having battle buddies. It actually has logistical buddies in the sense that it's like these are the people who are going to tell you, here are better ways to take care of your animal. Here are ways that you can get the most out of your pet by taking care of them in the best way. It's also a community that really is a culture of caring for dogs as well as the dogs care for the people, correct?
Right. Yes, that's correct.
So what does that look like? What have you learned in regards to that, in regards to how, like I said, you've got this dog, the dog was trained to lay on your legs, the dog was trained to lick your face. What have you learned about caring for dogs that has actually kind of instructed you about the way because you talk about the idea of being more like your dog, or as the Bellamy brothers say, God, please let me be as good of a person as my dog thinks I am. What have you learned from the dog? What have you learned in regards to and about the dog since you've started the journey with Sage?
Well, like for instance, one of the biggest things, the challenges that I had coming out was I did not like crowds. I did not like people anymore. I didn't really trust people anymore because of all the things that had happened. You're waiting for that bad thing to happen. You're waiting for that person to pull that IED vest or whatever it may be. So you'd have this low trust. But as we started to progress more out into the community, people would approach me. People would come up and ask, children all alike, come up and, can I pet your dog? And at first I was leave me alone. Don't touch my dog. Can't you read? Those types of things. But then I had to rethink it. Sage would wag his tail. Sage would kind of want to engage with them. And I started thinking, if my dog trusts them, maybe I can start trusting them too. So I started opening up a little bit. It also gave me a platform to start sharing my story, because kids would start coming up. Why do you have a service dog? What's it for? What do you do with it? Can I pet it? And then you'd kind of explain. It gave you a platform. It gave me a platform to have this conversation and start sharing even more about Sierra Delta. So again, looking at my dog's behavior, like when someone comes up and a child is running up and, hey, can I pet your dog? And smiling from ear to ear. And Sage is looking at him like, yeah, you can. So it gave me an opportunity then, as I started getting out of my shell, letting go of some of those things and just shifting my sole focus on my dog. It gave me more of a freedom. It gave me a sense of I can relax a little bit. My dog has got my back. If he starts backing away, then maybe I need to too. But it started opening the platform even more, that I was able to break out of my shell. And because of my dog, that's how I got back into church. I started actually at the church where I was at in 2017. And the pastors that were currently there had seen how Sage impacted just my life, but they saw how Sage also was able to greet some of the people. So they even made him what they called the service dog. So I was able to give him a free command, and he would go greet people at church. And it happened so well. That's how I met my new wife. She actually had Google searched a church, and she was looking for one. And she saw on some of the pictures or something like that this church had a service dog. She walked in the doors, and the first person she saw was my dog, Sage. And it greeted her. And she thought, man, this church has got a service dog. This church is for me. And never even thought about really relationships at that point. I was just focusing on getting well. But as I got to talk more with her children loved animals. And we just started growing together. And we ended up getting married on Veterans Day, November 11th of 2023. And we were, more blessings then came as well along with that. The program that we were approved for was called Hitched for Heroes. It was an all-paid wedding venue. So things started aligning and getting better, and more people saw that I wanted to give back to the community, and that it was above myself. So more people wanted to step up and, hey, we want to support this veteran and his family and his dogs, and we love this program Sierra Delta. So we're able to incorporate even Sierra Delta into many of these other programs and explain to people about this wellness program.
By the way, I that's the first time and I know a lot of these programs. It's the first time I've ever heard of Hitched for Heroes, and that actually it sounds like a remarkable program. But I wanted to say something too that you made me realize, and you've kind of already unpacked this to some degree. But Sage is your ambassador, and you talked about the idea of becoming more like the dog. But how many times have people broken the ice because their dog puts its best foot forward, and somebody said, wait a minute, this dog is loving, this dog is kind. I can't believe that anybody who holds the leash for this animal or walks with this animal can't be the same thing. They often kind of show us, and they show people what we're like in private. I mean, I've known that, but the way you've articulated that, Lee, it reminds us how many people have made judgments about us, not from the way we act. We might be shy, we might be a bit introverted, but there's that dog being kind to children. There's that dog welcoming people into the world that you exist in. And people say that dog is replicating what is going on inside of the soul of that man or that woman. That's kind of what the dogs do. They act as kind of our spiritual ambassadors to the rest of the world, right?
Right. Yes.
Let me ask you this too. What does the dog like to do for fun? I mean, what do you guys do when you're just having fun, when it's just you and Sage? What do the walks look like, or with you and your wife and the dog? Where does the dog like to go play and enjoy its life?
So it's amazing. My dog is, people ask me that all the time. I've heard comments when we're out and Sage has his vest on and people will go, oh, poor dog, because they just see him in that capacity. He's got a vest on. He kind of hangs his head just a little low because he knows he's working. And like you and I and many other people out there, many people don't enjoy their jobs. They go out, they go to their work, they come home, and then they are a little bit more free. But it's interesting. As soon as the vest comes on, my dog Sage snaps into work mode. He knows that he's got a mission. He needs to look around for me. But then when his vest comes off, he's free. Like right now, he's taking a nap in his bed. But later, I spend at least a minimum of 30 minutes a day doing something with him. Because we have to keep up with his training, or we spend. There's many times in the afternoon that I set my alarm, and for an hour I go throw the ball for him, or we'll go for a walk. We enjoy. It's crazy to see how people see a dog out in public, and they're like, "That's awesome," and you'll get a lot of people coming up and just want to chat. And there's times where we're out at the parks or whatever, and he's just free. He's smiling. And it brings a warming heart to everyone who sees him, because many people have dogs in their homes. BJ talks about some of the numbers and the importance of how many people out there in the world love dogs and have a dog in their home. And so when you're out there, people can relate. They can see, oh, man, that's awesome that dog's, bringing that happiness to the individual. Or that's why people can get around Sierra Delta, because they see the impacts of dogs and they love supporting veterans. So he creates that platform for me to speak anywhere we go, whether it's the grocery store, church, or anywhere in between.
Yeah, I have to tell you guys, by the way, we are joined by Lee Otto, of course, who is a pastor at his church, who has actually given the gift of Sage, his dog, to that church as a member of that community, a beloved member of that community. I've been kind of what I call scattering your bio throughout this. If you're wondering why all those awards and all those citations that I noted at the beginning of the interview were there, he was a Bradley driver and gunner with the 1st Infantry Division, 2nd Infantry Battalion, 2nd Infantry Regiment, attached to F Troop and 4th Cavalry as part of the brigade reconnaissance team, and as a machine gunner, Sergeant Otto demonstrated remarkable skill and bravery under fire during some fierce battles ranging all throughout Iraq, to include Fallujah with the 1st Marine Division, Operation Smackdown, and many, many more. But he continues his purpose-driven life and his service-driven life by coupling with Sierra Delta and our good friend B.J. Ganem, who are really intent on making sure that his success story gets replicated for many others. I wanted to kind of make that shift here now, because your personal story is incredible. It also kind of sets up others for success. If, in fact, there are folks out there who have served and want to and don't know how to begin the process of having a dog in their life, can you tell them what Sierra Delta can do for them?
Sure. So you can start out by going to sierradelta.com, like you've mentioned. And Sierra Delta, whether you're a veteran or not, if you're not a veteran, we encourage you to get involved. You can volunteer. You can help put on an event. You can help put on a fundraiser. A lot of people, because of the civilians out there, that's how Sierra Delta keeps going, because of the donations. The other portion of it, if you're a military member, you just have had to have served your country. That's enough. It's Sierra Delta is a true thank you for your service. If you come in and whether you just have a dog and you're not looking for training, that's okay. You can come and join our community. We talk a lot about our community. It's essentially like Facebook, but it's for dogs and veterans. You'll get to see many of the stories. We're doing community roundups and community events. For instance, we have one coming up in Madison, Wisconsin this weekend. But we do a lot of different events to where dog walks and we do car shows, all many different kinds of things. We got a partnership going on with Walmart and Blue Buffalo right now for any bag of dog food you purchase at Walmart. They donate $1 back to Sierra Delta, up to $600,000. This is something that BJ has worked very hard on, and it helps, the funding portion of it. So Sierra Delta provides training grants up to $3,500 for each veteran. We work with veterans in their respective areas. So, like, let's say you're living in Tennessee. We work with the trainers in that area, and the veteran gets, they do a lot of their work with finding their dog. So we stay out of that process where we encourage the veterans to go either try to rescue an adoptable dog through their rescue facilities, and then try to make that connection naturally. If you force it, I always talk to people about this. The best thing to do is when you're at a place is let that happen naturally. Let the dog pick you. A lot of people kind of can force it, or they're very breed specific. But if you're going in and just looking for a companion, looking for that friend, let it happen naturally. But some are breed specific. You can look out for different breeders, and we'll work with any dog. Essentially, if a veteran wants to be a circus act, we'll help that. The only thing that Sierra Delta does not support or fund is anything with bite work or protection work. It gets very hairy with that stuff. But we have people doing hunting dogs and scent training and all different kinds of things. It does not necessarily have to be a full-fledged service dog. We have a number of people doing stuff like dock diving, and it's just a fun way to connect with other veterans through the love of dogs. We do so many different events, and where now veterans get to talk about, not only just talk about their war stories, but now we're talking about what we get to do with our dogs, what kind of food you're feeding your dog, or treats, or it's a much different discussion, and it's a great community that we've created.
By the way, you could not have landed the plane more perfectly. We are out of time, by the way. I could have talked for a long time. Can you believe how fast this went, Lee? Like I said, the last interview, the last interview did the same thing. It was a blitzkrieg. We looked up, and I'm like, I left a whole bunch of stuff on the table. But we'll get you back, as we will get BJ back as well. I got a chance, by the way. I met BJ for the first time at the NFL All-Stars versus the Wounded Warrior NFL game over before the Super Bowl in Los Angeles. I can't wait to get a chance to meet you. Pastor Lee Otto channels the resilience and leadership he forged over in combat into his civilian life. He is currently following that program of EPIC, Empowerment, Purpose, Innovation, and Community with Sierra Delta. Go to sierradelta.com if, in fact, you want to help out the cause, or if, in fact, you're somebody looking for community, a community based around man's best friend. Lee, anytime you want to come back, you reach out to us, and we'll get you on, I promise. Okay?